Welcome to the business of being healthy, where we are passionate about treating our health as good as we treat our wealth. Sheley Brien here, and I am obsessed with sharing real-life experiences and wisdom to help save you time, heartache, and money as you continue to grow personally and professionally. Twice a week, we push aside that BS to take massive intentional action. And I promise by tuning in, you will receive the straightforward talk you've been waiting for, filled with actionable steps that will inspire you to achieve the health and wealth you desire while you are building your empire. Thrilled to have you join me here today on one of my shorter solo episodes. Every Friday they come out. And part of my Fridays, these are literally becoming my favorites. I love interviewing people, but what has become so fun about my Friday solo episodes is being able to call out by name all of the reviews that have been left on the show. And I just have to drop this for a second. If you are new, welcome to the show. But by leaving a review on my show or any other show that you listen to, you are literally doing two things. One, you're helping that show get recognized by the podcast gods and the ivory towers to help it get more ranking. The other thing, and really the more important thing you're doing by leaving a review, is that you are creating an opportunity for connection for people just like us. So again, whether it's this podcast that you're listening to right now, or whether it's another one that you really enjoy, I just highly, highly encourage that you take the quick second, tap that 5 stars, leave a quick couple lines, and really be the hero on someone else in bringing them to the show. Now, today's review comes from someone who I know who is absolutely great. And so when that happens, it just makes me smile even more. And this is from Felicia Romero. She said, "I'm loving this podcast. So many valuable insights. I can't wait to listen to more episodes." Well, Felicia, right back at you, girl. You are so fun to watch. I'll link Felicia, her Instagram, in the show notes here so that you can follow her too. But just the fact that someone that I know who is busy does that just makes me feel like $1,000,000. So thank you. Don't forget, whenever you're done at any time, it literally takes a quick second, drop that review, and I can't wait to call you out on the next Friday episode. Now let's dive into the show here, because this one I think is very timely, end of the year, into the new year. And it's something that I want you to think about. And I'm going to share my personal experience from it. That's what I think this is all about, is like, man, I wish I would have stopped doing this one thing earlier and I would be that much more productive and effective. And really what it is I was searching and using the quick dopamine hits to feel good for a second rather than actually do the activities that move the needle in my business. So essentially, I was focusing on all the wrong things in my business that actually made change. And so the activities that I would put, or what we as high achievers absolutely love, is our amazing checklists. I know you have one, whether it's in your calendar, whether it's a Post-it, whether it's a Google Doc that you're continuing to do, or if you're using like Teamwork or Asana or some other thing, you have this to-do list. And what's funny is on that to-do list, we love to put, of course, all the things that we have to do. But I would say, if I'm going to be honest with myself, I know that more than 50% of those activities were actually not needle movers. But dang, that dopamine hit from crossing something off that list, that felt so good. So it was almost like adding things on the list that weren't going to move the needle in my business, that weren't going to actually push my business forward. But I was searching for that quick little dopamine hit of like feeling good about myself, like I was achieving and doing great. And so I would, oh my gosh, I remember this at the beginning of this year. I was like, oh, look at everything that I got done today, looking at my checklist. And meanwhile, I'm also like feeling like I got nothing done. I'm like, I got nothing done today. I didn't get this done, or I didn't get that done. I didn't get these needle movers, these massive action steps to actually move the business forward. I didn't get that done. So I had this like flip-flop feeling of like, oh, look at all these quick little dopamine hits that I got because I crossed off these little things on my list. And then I got nothing. I had this like gut pit feeling that I didn't get the right things done. So it was definitely not a healthy place to be, not a good place to be. And I knew that if I didn't take action to change it, I would be in the same spot, because I started noticing it as we are getting more and more busy with the podcast, the business, the construction company, as well as everything we have with the horses and the kids and the dogs and everything. I was like, I'm going to be on this like repetitive cycle of quick little dopamine hits, but then feeling despair, like I didn't get the right things done. Not a good place to be. So what I did was just take a small intentional action. And I think the first thing that in anything, when you're looking at these little small actions that you want to change, is you got to recognize it. I noticed the feeling first. So I noticed the feeling of, I get nothing done today. And then I look at my little list and I get the dopamine hit and I'll be like, well, wait a minute, what's going on? So I noticed that disagreement, let's say, in feelings. That's what triggered me to be like, okay, what's not going on? Like, what's not right here? That's when I was looking actually at the list and the depth of the list, where I recognize, oh, I know what I'm doing. And us high achievers, I know if you're a high achiever, you like getting stuff done. You like crossing off that list. But now is time to actually look deeper and change how we look at the list and change the way in which we get those dopamine hits. I'm not saying stop it. We just got to make sure we're doing the right tasks. And I actually did an episode a little bit on this topic. You've probably heard about it before. I'm of course doing it a little bit different because, you know, we do things differently here, is eat the frog. You've heard like eat the frog, do the hardest thing first and what have you. I actually did an episode called Resize the Frog. I will link that in the show notes. But because I think like sometimes when we're doing these big, huge things, it's just like, it's so laborious. You're like, I don't even want to do it. So you're like, start avoiding it rather than tackling the action straight on, like an eat the frog kind of theory. So I talked about resizing the frog. But now I even want to take it a step further. And again, I'm just sharing what worked for me in hopes that maybe it helps you. And if this doesn't serve you, move right on. Don't worry. I have 2 episodes a week. But if this sounds like you or someone you know, what I did might be able to help them. But the first thing was absolutely recognizing that disagreement in the feelings that triggered me to look deeper at the list. Now, before I move on to what I changed, I also just have to call out, because I'm talking about it from a business perspective, right? And this could be in your career, if you're in a corporate career, or this could be you in starting your business, running your business, all of these different things, is that this so closely ties to your health. So if you are doing all of these little things, you know, little activities to make it feel like you're actually working on your health, but nothing's changing, you got to turn back and look at the depth of the activities that you're taking. So what I would recommend is starting in one area or the other. Never do we ever want to try to like do everything at once. That being said, this skill is transferable. So whether you want to start in your health and going more into depth on the activities there, or start in your business activities, daily business activities, going in depth there, you can transfer what you learn to either way. So that is something that is incredibly, incredibly important to know. Now, here's what I did, is because I had a list. I actually had like a paper journal book, and I would write everything in there. And then everything I didn't finish, I would transfer to the next day. And I would transfer the hard things or the things that I was avoiding just because they were a little bit more effort. I was transferring those more days than I would actually like to admit. And so I completely got rid of the book. because that book was almost a crutch for me because I could always refer back to it. I needed to be done with the activities that were going to move my business every single day. And so I went to the good old trusty Post-it note. Here, I'm not going to you don't have to go buy a big service or do anything. You can take what I'm going to share. And if you have some type of CRM management tool that you use, absolutely, you can do this there, but change the way. Think about it a different way. So I used a Post-it note and I would put no more. I'd use the little 3x3 Post-it note. I put no more than 3 activities on that Post-it note. So I had the 3 most important things I needed to do for that day. So for each day, I literally do this every day. For each day, I list those 3. And it's, I don't want to say it's the hard items. It's the items that take the most depth and effort. And so these are the actual actions or activities that will move my business or move where I want to go. That is success for me. These are the things that are going to do it, not the dopamine hit. So I would only list no more than 3. I know you're going to want to put 4 or 5 or 6, and that's when things aren't going to get done. But think about here, because there is a little bit of a mindset shift here. If you get the 3 hardest things or the 3 most challenging things or the 3 most time-consuming things that are needle movers in your business done every day, where do you think you could be in a month from now? You don't even have to go that far. If in a week, if you've been delaying these things, but if you just did the 3 things every single day and moved on, I would place a large wager that you would be much farther ahead, closer to your goals. Now, once I have my list of 3 every day on my Post-it, I actually post it to my computer because that way it's plain sight vision. I know what my goals are. I know what the things are that I need to move for the day. Now, I will, if I haven't already reviewed my calendar, because I do a lot of calendar setup for the week based upon or on Sundays, I will block that time out in my calendar. And if you don't have that availability, what I would suggest is potentially in your calendar, put 3 list or top 3 list and block out an hour here, 30 minutes there, 2 hours there, that this is the time every single day you are going to handle those 3 most important activities that are going to move the needle in your business. Now, here's the best part. And I got this from Andy Frisella, which love him or like him. I love that he systemizes everything and I love how clear cut he is. But Andy Frisella, First Form, if you're unfamiliar with First Form, I'm actually a Legionnaire with them. I love their products and actually the culture of the brand. But what Andy talks about is he says he has a power list of 5 things that he gets done every day. And then once he gets it done, like if he starts at 7 a.m. and he's done by 9, he's done for the day. Now, he's at a different perspective now. He's building $1 billion thing. It's huge. It's incredible. But even back in the day, however, what I took from him is the ability. It's almost like the permission to be like, you know what? Instead of like looking at my to-do list and crossing off and getting all these little dopamine hits on silly things that really aren't moving the needle in my business, I want to focus my efforts. And I took it down to 3. He had 5. If I focus my efforts on these 3 things and they're done, if I choose, I can go do what I want. If I choose to work more or focus another task, do some of those little ones, I'm going to do it. So I just love that there's that perspective. And that's why I want you to leave with is if you get those 3 things done every single day and however you want to log them, you will be in a much different position than if you keep getting those little dopamine hits on the little things that you cross off your list every day that aren't moving the needle. Now, before we sign off here, I do want to leave you with two other things that have helped me as well. These aren't a daily, per se, a daily task, but these are tools in my toolbox that I have used this year. The first one is hiring out. So one of the things that I also notice on my to-do list is my things that bottlenecked me because I either wasn't very good at it, or I wasn't very confident, or it just took me more time, but I was really good at it. I would see if obviously you have this in your flow or in your financial availability is to hire out. And that's where I actually incorporated a team of virtual assistants to be able to help me with some of the things that were bottlenecking me in my day, and took that ability away for me to get the little dopamine hit. And the other one is accountability. And accountability, is such a big name when it comes, or such a big cliche almost when it comes to health. But I think it's also incredibly important when it comes to business. And accountability can either be a person or it can be a delivery date. So even if you don't have a actual delivery client date, or something that you need to deliver on, if you put that date as your delivery date that you are putting to yourself, that is incredibly important. Hold that as the word to yourself and deliver on that date. So those are a couple other items that I use to help move the needle from getting the dopamine hits of crossing off, I don't want to say insignificant, but crossing off non-important tasks off my to-do list before tackling the important things. So I hope that this just shed a little bit of perspective. If anything, trial and error. But the first thing is to recognize if you are that person that's getting those little dopamine hits like me, is that I hope this just lets you go, holy cow, I'm not where I want to be because I'm getting those little dopamine hits. And now I'm going to change it and actually get the real actionable results that I desire. Now, if you found value in this, don't forget to share it on. But until next time, we'll see you then.